الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن استنى بسنته إلى يوم الدين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا اللهم بما علمتنا وزدنا اللهم علما وعملا إنك ولي ذلك والقادر عليه. أما بعد. We're continuing the class. Continuing the class in the explanation of Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah of Bulugh Al-Maram للحافظ ibn Hajar rahimahullah وغفر الله لنا وله. ووقفنا عند الحديث 11 في باب الطهارة أو كتاب الطهارة باب المياه. وهذا الحديث عن أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه قال: جاء أعرابي فبال في طائفة من الله عليه وسلم، فلما قضى بوله أمر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بذنوب من ماء فأغريق عليه. متفق عليه. So the next hadith is hadith number 11, reported from Anas ibn Malik رضي الله عنه, that a Bedouin came to part of the Masjid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and urinated. The famous hadith. And the Sahaba, or some of them, they rebuked him and told him to stop very aggressively. So the Prophet rebuked and told him, leave him until he's finished. And then when he finished, he sallallahu alayhi wasallam ordered a bucket of water to be brought and poured upon the urine. فأولا معروف أن الأعراب في ذاك الوقت كانوا بعيدين عن العلم، بعيدين عن المدن، هذا الشيء من البول في المجالس العامة مثل المساجد، فهذا ليس بغريب منهم، لأن الأصل فيهم الجهل. Scholars explain this is something which is the action of the Bedouin who is far from the cities, and usually a person who is far from the cities at that time, he did not have any connection to the knowledge. There was no one to teach them the manners, so they would do some things which they maybe do this, proceed to urinate in a public place. لأن مسجد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم كان منه جزء مسقوف وجزء وهو الأكثر والأغلب مكشوف بغير سقف. فذهب هذا الأعرابي إلى الجزء المكشوف فقاسه على البر، على الفلات، لأنه كان في الفلات يذهب إلى الجزء المكشوف ليس مقصوفا فيبول فيه، فقال هذا المكان مثل ذاك، فبال في هذا المكشوف من المسجد. So why did the Bedouin do this? Because as known, he had a reason. It's not that he was trying to harm the people. No, in origin, the place that is in the desert, all of it can be used as a place, of urination, as long as a person is away from the people and covering his presence. So the Masjid of the Prophet ﷺ, as we know, not all of it was roofed. Some of it was without a roof. So he saw this place part which was without a roof. He thought this is like the open space, so he can go ahead and urinate, just as if he was open in the desert. So this is his reasoning. It's a faulty reasoning, but this is the reason why he did that. Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah explained. ولكن هذا أمر منكر، لذلك زجره الصحابة رضي الله عنهم. لكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم لأنه نبي الرحمة ونبي الحكمة نهاهم عن ذلك وزجرهم. وقال في رواية لا تزرموه لأن هذا يرجع عليه بالضرر. إنسان لما هو في استعداد لإخراج البول ثم قطع عليه بوله يتضرر بذلك. Here, Prophet ﷺ, when the Sahaba saw this, of course, it's an act which is unacceptable. And they tried to, stop him in the action while he was urinating. So the Prophet ﷺ forbade them. He said, don't leave him. Do not disturb him. Why? This shows us that he ﷺ was the Prophet of mercy and the Prophet of wisdom. The mercy on this man. Because if a person is urinating, this is known, and he's disrupted in that process, he can be harmed. To try to stop that once it's already in motion, he cannot stop it. He'll be harmed. Maybe his bladder or his parts of his system, urinary system, will be harmed. So, as a mercy to him, he told the citizens that the person in this condition should not be scared away. من الحكم في تركه حتى ينتهي أنه إذا قام أثناء البول انتشر البول مسافة أكثر مما لو كان جالسا. فلو قام كان الضرر أكثر وهو قريب من الأرض يبول. لو قام أثناء بوله قد يتلوث لباسه وبدنه ببوله خلافا لو ترك في حاله. So also the scholars explain that the wisdom, because a person is urinating in this condition and he's brought to stand up scared and basically made to stand up, what's going to happen? That urine is going to splash in wider area, rather than if he's just sitting, it will be in a local area that which you can clean more easily. As in the hadith, the bucket of water was brought because it's just one spot where he urinated. But if he was made to stand up, it would have splatter to different areas and made it much harder to clean that. And also the urine would have splashed back on himself in this process while he's frightened and got on his clothes and so on. And all of these wisdoms, أيضا قد ينفر من المسجد إذا أمل بالشدة وهو جاهل. الأصل في الجاهل أنه لا يعامل بالشدة بل يعامل باللين والرفق لأنه جاهل ويعذر لجهل. يرجع إلى مرة أخرى لو شدد عليه بذلك الطريقة. So also for the benefit, also the wisdom and the mercy, we said, for the Bedouin, because the origin, as we said, he was ignorant, and the one who is ignorant, the origin is that he's dealt with gentleness, as opposed to the person who should know better. If he's a person of knowledge, he should know better, then you could be more severe with him. But the person who doesn't know any better, as this Bedouin, the origin is we be gentle and not do something which he won't understand. And we excuse him for his ignorance. Excuse him because he didn't know better. And thereby we can win over and bring him close with the gentleness and teach him as he did, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So, and perhaps if he's dealt with harshly, the ignorant one, he may run away. And he will never come back to the masjid again because he was dealt with harshly. So these are some of the wisdoms of this hadith. And also, وذلك إعمالا للقاعدة. القاعدة تقول: إذا كان أمامك مفسدتان ولا بد من ارتكاب أحدهما يقدم من المفسدتين في دفع أعلاهما، يرتكب أدنى المفسدتين في دفع أعلاهما. ما هي المفسدتان؟ هنا. المفسدة الأولى الأدنى أن الأعرابي يترك حتى ينتهي من بوله، يترك حتى ينتهي من بوله، هذه مفسدة لأنه يلوث هذا المكان من المسجد. هذه أدنى. ما هي الأعلى؟ أن يزجر وينتشر البول في أمكنة أكثر، هذه مفسدة أعلى وأعظم. يعني يترك أو يرتكب الأدنى في دفع الأعلى. So here, this is the principle now. The scholars take from this hadith a general principle. Another such hadith, that if you have in front of you two possible harms, okay, and there's no choice, but you have to take one of them. You cannot just escape from both. What are the two possible harms here? That, because there is urine. What's the other possible harm? That he is stopped in his tracks or frightened, and then it'll be worse, as we mentioned. More spread urine and harm to him and harm to the masjid. Further, so there's either this or that. There's no third option. There's no third option. So what do? You take the lesser harm to prevent the greater harm. Take the lesser harm to prevent the greater harm. So this is like a good example of that. Likewise, يعني يراعى المصالح والمفاسد. لابد من مراعاة المصالح والمفاسد. مثلا إنسان مثلا مدمن الخمر ولا يصلي، ومدمن الخمر ولا يصلي، لو يعني يركز الخمر قد يعني ينفر من الإسلام بالكلية، ويعني لذلك ينبغي أن يبدأ به بالأمر الأعظم، لأن أول ما يسأل عنه الصلاة. لو صلحت صلاته نهته الصلاة عن الفعل المنكر من شرب الخمر وغيره، فلذلك ينبغي أن يبتدأ به بما هو أعظم مصلحة، ويعني يتغافل عن هذه المفسدة وهذه المضرة في إصلاحه. For example, if you have a person in front of you, he drinks alcohol, okay, and he doesn't pray. What would we begin to advise him with? Weighing the harms and the benefits. We would begin and not to focus on the matter of the alcohol, more so prayer, because we know that the prayer, if he is given to the is guarding his prayer, then the prayer, as Allah said, inna as-salata tanha an al-fahsha'i wal-munkar. The prayer forbids the bad actions and the sins and the like. So we focus on that thing which brings the greater benefit. Although there's persistent harm in him, he's doing a sin, but you don't focus on that for also to prevent the greater harm. Perhaps if we focus on his drinking problem, and he's in a weak state of faith, he doesn't even pray. I mean, some scholars say he's disbeliever even. But even if you say he's still a believer, then if you focus on that, he may leave Islam altogether, leave your company. Okay, so try to strengthen his faith and strengthen his iman. Billahi tawfiq. So also يستفاد من هذا الحديث نجاسة البول، وهذا معلوم من الإسلام بالضرورة. لكن وماذا وجه الاستدلال؟ وجه الاستدلال أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أمر بتطهير هذا بالماء، ولا يؤمر بتطهير الشيء إلا لكونه نجسا. And also in this hadith is a proof that the urine of the human being is filthy, is najis. What's the proof? That it was ordered to clean it with the water. Okay, and the order of cleaning something implies and necessitates that that thing is filthy, meaning that urine is filthy, meaning what? If it comes on our clothing, we can't pray with our that in our bodies or in our clothing or in the place of makan of salah. If there's urine there, we cannot pray there in that location because it's najis. That's the benefit of knowing the ruling of the matter. Okay, so that's that hadith, the main benefits of it. الحديث الثاني عشر وعن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وحلت لنا ميتتان ودمان فأما الميتتان فالجراد والحوت وأما الدمان فالطحال والكبد أخرجه أحمد. Hadith number 12 from Ibn Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both. He said, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, permissible for you, it has been made permissible for you two organs that are pretty much blood. When you look at them and have blood almost entirely, and two dead things. Two bloods are made lawful for you, and two dead creatures have been made lawful for you. The two dead ones are the locust, al-jarad, wal-hut, means the fish of the water. And the two bloods are the liver and spleen. The liver and the spleen. As known, these are bloody organs, bloody parts of the animal. So يعني في الميتة والدم أنه حرام نجس وإنما أحلت من باب الاستثناء من باب الاستثناء من الأصل أنه حرام. Is known, as Allah said, حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير. In many ayat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's najis. It's haram to eat the dead meat, the roadkill, and the blood which is, as in one ayah, الدم المسفوح, the blood when you slaughter the sheep, or so on. The blood that spills out, this is najis. Okay? And also, the same real wisdom, the scholars mention, why is the dead animal haram to eat? Because that blood that is filthy never left it. You see, why do we slaughter the animal? So to get rid of the filthy blood. And if it's not slaughtered, then that blood remains in the meat and so on of the organ, and that's filthy. So that's why we cannot eat the dead meat. Okay, so that's the origin. As Allah Azza wa Jal said, قُلْ لَا أَجِدُ فِيمَا أو دما مسفوحا أو لحم خنزير فإنه رجس. قال العلماء قوله فإنه رجس كونها نجسة، رجس يعني نجس. لماذا حرمت الميتة والدم المسفوح ولحم الخنزير؟ لأنها نجس، رجس يعني. فإلة التحريم النجاسة. So we benefit from this ayah, as the Shaykh explained, that this ayah he mentioned in the explanation, say, I do not find the dead roadkill or the blood which is spilled at the time of the slaughter or the pig meat, lahm khinzir. Why? Allah said in the end of the ayah, فَإِنَّهُ رِجْسٌ, meaning because it is filthy. Because these things are filthy, impure things, that's why we're forbidden to eat them. Okay? وهذا فيه يعني ما ذكرنا في الدرس السابق القاعدة أن كل حيوان محرم أي محرمة الأكل فهو نجس، أي نجس يعني نجس المس كل ما هو محرم الأكل فهو نجس المس. This is the principle we mentioned last time. Based on this ayah, that is uh, from the meat, all the meats that are haram to eat, okay, they are filthy. They are filthy to touch, okay? Like the dead. If you touch the dead animal, meaning the meat of it and the skin of it and other parts, it's filthy. You cannot touch it. If you have to touch that, you have to wash your hands. Okay. The reason why because the reason it has been haram for us is because it's filthy. Okay. Similarly, the blood which splatters out at the time of the slaughter. If the reason why we're not allowed to drink it is because it's filthy, it's diseased, it's dirty. Okay. Similarly, the pig meat, we can't touch it. If you touch it, we have to wash our hands. Why? Because well, that's the reason why it's haram, because it's filthy. Okay, so and so on. ما هو نجس نجس المس فهو حرام. Pork, yes. ما هو نجس فهو حرام, like the pork. The pork, because it's filthy to touch, it's haram to eat. Okay, as you said, for us to put outside, more so to take inside. يعني إذا كان لا يصلح لظاهرنا فإن لا يصلح لباطننا أولى من باب أولى. Whatever is filthy is bad for us to put on our hands. More so, it's bad for us to take inside. Okay, but the opposite is not true. For example, هناك أشياء ما هي محرمة الأكل لكنها طاهرة. Okay, we're outside of the meats. Okay, we're talking meats and animal things. There's other things though, like poison, like say marijuana, مخدرات, drugs. مخدرات لأنها من باب الخمر، لكن هل هي طاهرة المس؟ نعم لا يقال أنها نجسة وأن لو إنسان مسه لابد أن يغسل يده، لا يقال ذلك، لأن الأصل في الأشياء الطهارة. Okay, so the opposite is not true. Like for example, we should just a little bit of detail, but just to finish the topic, that there's some things outside of the animals now that is haram to take inside us, but they're still pure to touch. Meaning we don't have to wash our hands when we touch them. Like poisons, like drugs, like marijuana. If a person takes it inside, haram. Because it's an intoxicant, it's a drug. يعني كل مسكر فهو حرام. It's haram because it makes a person lose his senses, and it makes him addicted to that thing. Anyways, that's why haram. But is it filthy to touch? No. Just like a pill. There's a pill that's a poison. It's just a pill. But if he takes it in, haram. It's haram to take inside. Don't kill yourself because it's poison. If you touch it, there's nothing filthy on it. Okay, so that's just a little detail the scholars mentioned. So the point here, we return to the hadith that there's two things that are made exception to the rule. The rule is the dead animal is haram and it's najis. Except what? The fish and the locust, the insect. The fish and the locust. Okay. The locust, al-jarad, ma'ruf, is known in the Muslim land, many places. It's an insect though that it is the dead of the locust is halal to eat, and it's tahir to touch. Why? لأن الجراد ليس له نفس سائلة، لا نفس له سائلة، أو لا دم له سائل، ليس له دم يسيل، بخلاف الغنم والبقر والدجاج وغير ذلك. إذا وجدنا من هذول ميتة لها دم سائل بخلاف الجراد. لو وجدنا الجراد ميتا أصلا، فوجه التفريق أن ما له دم سائل لو وجدناه ميتا احترق فيه الدم، تجمد فيه الدم، لأن هناك فيه دم سائل، بخلاف ليس له دم سائل، لذلك امتنع الذي هو سبب النجاسة. سبب النجاسة احتقان وتجمد الدم فيه، وهذا ممتنع في حق الجراد والحشرات والسمك والحشرات يعني. Okay, so why the difference? We're talking about an insect here. Why the insect, specifically not all insects, okay, just the locust. The locust is special insect. It's not filthy. It's a nice, for people who have that taste, it has a nice taste, okay? It's not filthy like a beetle or like a fly or the bee or these things, okay? This is why, but it's an insect. Why can we eat the dead? We find it dead. When Allah said that the dead things are haram for us, because it's different. It has no flowing blood. The insects don't have blood flowing in them. And as you said earlier, the reason why the dead animal is haram is because of the blood, right? The blood never gets out. We never slaughtered it. We find a deer on the road, okay? The blood is stuck inside. It's coagulated, it's hardened, and that blood is a problem. It's diseased blood, okay? That's why we can't eat that roadkill, that dead deer on the side of the road. That problem does not exist with the insects, okay? There's no blood any inside of disease. So it's pure. It's pure. And the insect, it is not a dirty animal, okay, insect. As opposed to, like we said, the flies or the scorpion, other such insects like bees and ants. What do we say about النمل والنحل, the bees and the ants and so on? Also, they're pure to touch. Everyone knows that if you touch an ant, you don't have to wash your hands, right? Even if you touch a dead ant. That's the point. The dead ant is طاهر. الحشرات عموما طاهرة الميتة ميتا وحيا طاهر، لكن لا يجوز أكلها لأنها مستقذرة للنفوس، تأباه النفوس ويعني تعافه النفوس، هذا يعني هي خبيثة. الجراد حلال لأن الجراد ليس خبيثا، بخلاف النحل والنخل والنمل، عفوا النحل والنمل ويعني الأقرب ويعني so here finally, just to complete the benefit, we should know when we talked about the hadith is about the locust, right? The locust, a specific type of insect. Why is it pure to touch it when it's dead? Because it has no blood in it. There's nothing problem. There's no scorpions, cockroaches even. Even a cockroach, if you touch it dead, it's pure. Why? Because there's no blood to get stuck inside. Okay? Fly. It's in the hadith of fly that falls into the drink, right? What do? In the hadith, it's the next hadith will come inshallah next time. We order نغمسه في الماء, to the fly when it falls on one side, the wing, to push it into the water. What is pushing it into the drink going to do? Kill it, especially if it's a hot drink. So it's dead now, the fly. This dead fly, is it pure or impure? The hadith proves you're supposed to drink it afterwards, right? If the Prophet ﷺ, connection is unstable. Just wait a second. It says reconnecting.
It's
Oh, now it's back. Yeah, it's back. Yeah. So, yes, when we were talking about the hadith, we'll take next time in more detail. That you take the fly that falls into the drink and push it into the drink, because in one wing is the poison and the other wing is the cure. كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. But when you push it into the drink, it's gonna die. Okay, so if we're gonna say that the dead fly is najis, that goes against the hadith, because into it. So it's not dirty. It's not dirty, but and other such insects, beetles, cockroaches, although they're not filthy, when we touch them as dead, we're not allowed to eat them. We're not allowed to eat insects. Why? Because they're pure to touch, but they are disgusting, and they carry diseases and other things. Okay, and they're disgusting. No one would eat such things. Flies and cockroaches and things. This is disgusting. Locust is special. Locust is a different kind of insect. That's why it's allowed to eat. Okay, so just we understand the difference. Okay, then also mentioned the or hood, the fish. The fish also, all is halal. Tahirun halal. If you find a fish dead or alive, tahir, we can eat, even if we find it dead. Okay, this is an exception to the general rule of roadkill. Now, this is a fish, water dwelling animal. Anything that most of the time or has in the water is halal to eat it, even if we find it dead. وأيضا الدليل قوله تعالى وحل لكم صيد البحر وطعامه. قال رضي الله عنهما صيده ما أخذ حيا وطعامه ما أخذ ميتا. Also not just this hadith that two dads have been made halal for you, the locust and the fish. This hadith of Ibn Umar. Also the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it has been permissible for you the hunt of the sea, whatever you fish in the sea, whatever you catch fishing, and also the ta'amu, the food of it, literally the food of the sea. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma made tafsir of this ayah. He said the fish, that what you catch when you're fishing, ma ukhidha hayya, whatever you catch alive is halal for you, meaning after you kill it, of course, you kill it yourself. What is ta'amuhu? Ta'amuhu uhilla lakum saydul bahri wa ta'amuhu. Ta'amuhu qala ma ukhidha mayta, whatever you find dead. This is also proof for this, that the dead of the sea is halal. Okay, this ayah, Surah Al-Ma'idah, ayah number 96. So the dead of the sea is halal. Likewise, the living that we find and we kill ourselves. So and the two bloods, as we said, the liver and the spleen. And also generally, طبعا الارتحال من المذكات من المذبوح غير الميتة. When we say liver and spleen of the sheep or the cow, we mean the animal that has been slaughtered. Okay, because we said not the dead animal, the dead sheep, no, haram. The liver and the spleen of anything from the dead animal, the meat and the liver and so on, haram. But when we slaughter the animal, the liver and the spleen is halal for us, although it is blood. This is the exception to the rule. Which is the blood that's haram? We said, when we slaughter the animal, only the blood, dam al-masfuh, the blood which squirts out. Dam al-mutabaqqa fi al-madbuh al-mudhakkat al-aslu fihi al-hil wal-tahara. Any blood that remains after the slaughtering process is halal. Halal al-akl, taharat al-mas. Halal to eat and to touch. For example, meaning it's not just the liver and the spleen, also what you find in the heart. Because the heart, after you slaughter the animal, you take the heart out. If you open the heart up, you'll find blood, right? Is this najis? No, because there's no proof. Al-aslu fil ashya al-hillu wa tahara. There's no proof. We go back to the origin. There's no hadith or ayah that says that we have to, throw away this heart, or we have to wash this whatever is blood. We could cook it like that, no problem, because this is not damun masfuh. Only we have the ayah, the blood that spills out and squirts out at the time of the slaughter. Also, common problem, sometimes there's blood left in the meat. Sometimes the meat will come out very dark, and it might have even veins in it. Okay, and the veins have blood. Okay, what's the ruling? Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah قال أن الأصل في كل هذا الدم الباقي في المذبوح مذكات المذكات أنه حلال طاهر حلال، لأن هذا على الأصل في الأشياء الحل والطهارة إلا ما دل عليه الدليل. So because all these things, the origin is there's no proof to make it haram. The blood, even sometimes, the meat. The meat will be very dark, red, and maybe it has some blood, strings on it or what. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's halal, because the only proof we have the ayah which we said, the blood that squirts out. This is the filthy one. Okay. We're on the topic of the dead animal. Okay. So we said last time the dead. We said the dead animal, as in the ayah, is haram, but not all of the dead animal. We have to qualify it now. We have a little bit of detail about the dead animal. As we know in the hadith, which will come later, that if you tan the hide, the skin, if you process it, and then you can use leather skins and so on from the dead animal. Even roadkill, you find it, and then you tan the skin and process the skin and prepare it. You can make a leather jacket, make a blanket out of fur, and so on. The skin, you can make a tent out of it. You can use these things. Why? Because it's been cleaned, it's been purified. Okay, so not all, when we say the dead animal, not all of it is haram or najis. What is haram? The meat has flowing blood in it. Again, we go back to the issue with the insect. Why was the insect halal? I'm sorry, طاهر, pure to touch? لأن ليس له دم سائل. It has no flowing blood. Okay. So what do you say? What do we say about like horns of a goat, or the tusk of an elephant, or like hoofs, or the like, or nails of the dead animal? Okay, if you find, for example, the horn from a dead sheep, a goat, okay, and what is the ruling on the horn? The horn, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah قال أن هذه الأشياء يعني عظام, the bones, عظام الميت طاهرة، إنها طاهرة وليس بنجس. شعرها ريشها, all this, the feathers, the hair of the dead animal, the horns, the bones of the dead animal. If we find the bones, is it filthy? Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he said, وهذا اختيار ابن تيمية على مذهب الإمام أبي حنيفة، قول أبي حنيفة، وأيضا قول من في مذهب مالك وأحمد. This is a statement of many of the scholars in the past, that all these things, they're pure, even if they come from what? The dead animal. Now, why do we think the scholars say they're pure? Why do we think? There's no blood. Exactly. There's no blood in these bones and horns and hooves and nails. There's no blood. So there's no possibility that there's blood to be stuck in it when you find it dead. Of course, if we slaughter, we're not talking about slaughtered animal. The slaughtered animal, all of it halal. Ittifaq. There's no question. There's no different opinion amongst the scholars. If you slaughter it, the horns, the bones, all of it halal, tahir, pure. Now we're talking about the roadkill, the dead animal. We find it. Even if we find it dead, these parts, like bones, they're pure. This is the opinion of some scholars like Ibn Taymiyyah, rahimahullah, and other scholars from the Salaf. Why? Because there's no blood anyways. There's no blood gets stuck in it. As opposed to the meat and the rest of the body that people usually eat of the animal, there's blood stuck in there. You can't eat it, and it's filthy, okay, because of the blood that's stuck in there. Okay, so that's the reason. And the proof also, the scholars bring for this principle or this opinion, as we said, the insect. لو كان يعني الحيوان الكامل الحساس إذا وجدناه ميتا فهو حلال طاهر فكيف بالجزء من الحيوان؟ كيف بالجزء؟ من باب أولى لأنه أيضا ليس له دم سائل كمثل الحشرات. So the analogy holds true that if the whole insect, okay, if we find it dead, it's pure, okay, as in the hadith of the fly, it's pure. What about part of an animal? More so, like the hoof, like the horn, the what do you call it? The tusk of the elephant, the nails and bones. These are only parts of the animal. More so, they should be pure, as long as we said, because there's no blood in it. Also, so what is the proofs? في آثار عن السلف. قال الزهري هذا الأثر عند البخاري. Imam al-Bukhari reported from الزهري. Imam al-Zuhri رحمه الله في إضام الموتى في إضام الموتى نحو الفيل وغيره. قال أدركت أناسا من السلف أي سلف العلماء يتمشطون بها ويدهنون فيها ولا يرون به بأسا. Imam al-Zuhri said, this is in Sahih Bukhari, that I met from the scholars of the Salaf. They used to brush their hair with the bones of the dead animal. Brush their hair, and also they used to use it to oil themselves. They would take the oil and take it with the bones and put it on their bodies. So these bones are what from? The dead animals. If it was impure and filthy, it could not filthy. Also Ibn Sirin وإبراهيم قال يعني رأى يعني قال نعم هذا أيضا البخاري وكان ابن سيرين وإبراهيم لا يرى بأسا بالتجارة بالعاج لا يرى بالتجارة بالعاج بأسا والعاج هو ناب الفيل ومعلوم أن الفيل من يعني الحيوان المحرم الأكل لأنه ذو ناب يعني يحرم كل ذي ناب من also why? Because another narration from Ibn Sirin and Imam Ibrahim al-Nakhai from the Salaf, also from the Tabi'een, they said they did not have a problem, or they saw no problem to make business with the elephant tusk. The elephant tusk, the horns. Why is this a proof? Because the elephant has teeth by which it eats. Okay, so some scholars, they viewed that this was a predatory animal. You can't eat elephant. Okay, elephant meat is haram. Okay, so that this haram animal, they allowed to use the tusk. Why? Because there's no blood in it, just like the bones, just like the hair. There's no blood in it. just like the insect. So therefore, it's halal, and they used it. Also, there's finally the feathers and the hairs, more so to use that. Reported from Hamad ibn Abi Sulaiman al-Faqih al-Kufi, la ba's bi rish al-mayta. Reported also in Sahih Bukhari that Hamad, one of the Salaf, he said there's no problem to use the feathers of the dead animal. Why? Because the feathers have no blood, just like the hair. So to summarize, when we say the dead animal, the origin is haram and it's najis, but we mean by that the animal, the part of the animal which has blood in it. We find a dead animal, the blood will, get stuck in there. That parts that the blood circulates in greatly portion, those parts are haram and najis. You cannot touch them, you cannot eat them. Okay? Exclude from that anything that does not have blood from what we've mentioned. ونكتفي بهذا القدر والله تعالى أعلى وأعلم. We'll stop there inshallah and continue in the next class. Now, the next class is related inshallah. Any questions on that? Again, we took today the issue of the two bloods, which are halal, and the two dead animals, and also the hadith about the urine and how to clean the urine, okay, when it comes on the dirt. So we should say, the Sheikh mentioned, rahimahullah, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, that when we say we have to put water, this means this is the fastest way to purify the dirt. Otherwise, it's known that with time, with the sun and the wind, it will become pure. Any place in the dirt, if there's filth, it's going to become pure over time. So it's not that you have to pour water, but water is the fastest way. When you're talking about masjid, you want the fastest way to purify that area. Water is the fastest. But if you find, for example, things outside that have something of urine or the like, it'll be purified with time. For example, we know this from the matter of الاستجمار. لما يجوز ويشرع استخدام الأحجار لتطهير المحل بعد البول أو الغائط، فلا يلزم الماء، لكن الماء أولى وأفضل، لكن قد يكتفى بالأحجار لتنظيف المحل، فدل ذلك على أنه لا يشترط الماء لكنه أولى وأسرع وأنقى. وأيضا ثوب المرأة كما في الحديث في عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم، إذا مر بالنجاسة ثم مر بعد ذلك بأرض طاهر طهرته. Also, the scholars mentioned that when it comes to the water, it's better and faster, no doubt. You find something even on the dirt, pour water on it. But we should understand also that sometimes you don't have to have water. Water is the better, but you don't have to. Sometimes just the dirt itself purifies. For example, in the hadith, the woman who was in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they were told to let the jilbab, the long dress, go down onto the earth. What's going to happen? They pass by some filthy places. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, when he was asked about it dragging maybe upon some dirt or some urine or some filthy things, he said that the dirt that she was going to walk on after it will purify that which she got a filth on it before. So as much as she keeps walking, whatever filth will be purified by the dirt later. So this shows that you don't have to have water in all cases. Okay. Also, we're allowed to use just tissues. At that time they had stones, right? At that time they had stones and the like. After you go to the bathroom, okay, they some sort of leaves or the like. We have tissue. Do we have to use water? We know that we don't have to. Water is better after you go to the bathroom, number one. Number two, we should use water. It's readily available. But if we don't have water, or we choose not to, we can use tissue, right? And it becomes clean. There's no difference of opinion that tissue is, or this is the well known, that tissue cleans the place. So this shows again, we don't always have to have water, but water is better and faster to purify in this chapter. إن كان في الأمور الله خيرا أجمعين وبارك الله فيكم وإياكم.